Welcome back. We continue our conversation with Mr. S.J. Jacob and Ms. Piali Gupta on the topic, are we putting excess pressure on our children? So I would like to address a very important question to ma'am here, because all of us agree that though we would love to, we really don't get enough time with our children. And probably we don't recognize the kind of stress they're facing until it is too late. Like the case of the young boy that we discussed at the beginning of the show. How can parents recognize, because we are putting pressure, each examination, each mark that is below our expectation, we are putting more pressure, tuitions and assignments. How do we recognize the beginning of stress that is dangerous in our children? What can parents do to recognize that?
Yeah, let me just talk about it, like let's say let's see the change in thinking. Let's say the child starts talking more negative,
okay,
gets more worrying, constantly worrying about things, starts to become more a loner, very unhappy, starts crying at a very smallest without any reason. Then there could be things like nail biting, sleep disturbances, loss of appetite. There are various these are very small signs, but they, I think, really act as signals for for parents to find out that there is something going on, that something even in the behavior pattern. You could see the behavior that a child who is usually quiet becomes very angry at the smallest thing. It's very irritable. They can have mood swings, they can become very moody, and which is not their usual self, and that should give a kind of a sign or a signal to a parent that there is something disturbing the child.
Ma'am, it's really unfortunate, and when you say it, it's scary, because I think parents are not even spending enough time to notice these changes, until it's too late. Ma'am, I'm sure the listeners, the viewers would like to know, in case they find some of these symptoms in children, what do you think they should do?
Immediately, I would say they should sit the child down and talk to the child. And at times what happens, they may not be comfortable with both parent. I would say select the parent who the child is comfortable with. Then if after speaking to them, like you said, like we talked about just a minute back, where we said, once we tell them that, okay, we experienced it also, then they say, okay, it's comfort. We feel comfortable to talk about it. Okay, my parents also experience this kind of an issue. So that once you get this, communication open, then maybe at the second level you can seek help from an experienced person who can help you. If the parent feels that the problem that is cropped up is beyond their, range, or they cannot handle it, I would suggest you refer either to a counselor or a medical practitioner who may help them if it is where their social functioning is getting hampered. At times what happens, the stress creates so much of problems, like you just mentioned this unfortunate case. This child has been going through quite a few, I would say it's like a lot of time must have gone when this child must have gone through this to be able to want to take your own life. So it is not that something that has just happened and he or she has done that. Also, that would also bring up another topic about self-esteem, which of course if I start talking I'll go on and on.
No.
But these are the things which are very, very like I would say a warning sign where a parent should start talking to their children. Again, I'm back to where I said communicate with your children.
Right.
True. So have you faced any issue at school where you could actually bring somebody back from that urge?
Now, this is actually what ma'am said is right. The parents could understand the own child, and the symptoms she already told. Before we go to the counselors, the immediate right person is a teacher. So my request to all my teachers, you must have a very good communication, rapport, interaction with the parents. The parents and teachers, if we communicate each other, obviously they say, ma'am, yesterday my daughter, she was crying while looking at the homework, or she has little bit uneasiness. So then first the teachers are the role model of the children. Obviously they will say, okay, the teacher can advise before you go to the further step. And we faced a lot of problems, and our teachers not the counselors there, but our teachers, when you interact and talk to the students, they'll kind of relief. Even last week also happened like that. Even we found out certain children are very noisy in the class and issues are there. So they are bringing mobiles and so many issues are there. When the teacher, the supervisor called this nearly the 10-15 children in the class and talk to them separately, the children doesn't want to stop. The children don't want to stop it. Ma'am, I want to talk. I want to talk. Get relief from all the things. Then this happened the last week. So the class is very calm, very pleasant now, because they got some kind of relief. Even very shocking news I heard. Some students started smoking to reduce their tension.
My God,
Just imagine.
I'm just.
It's happening now.
So, isn't it really unfortunate, sir and ma'am? This is actually the research. We asked parents, who do you live for? And from the labor camp to the posh villas, they said all of them live for their children. But it's really unfortunate that they're not even communicating with their children. They don't accept their feelings. They don't accept their emotions, and it's really, really unfortunate. So I've got a very a naughty question now to both of you. What happened is once we were doing a session, and the session was attended by both parents and students, and we said, if you notice stress signs in your kids, please make sure that you speak to them and you attend to them. And a couple of students started actually using this opportunity, you know, and they started saying the moment, let's say they score poorly in Hindi, and the parent starts putting pressure, they'll start acting up. So how do you think? So I'm sure parents would want to know how can you differentiate?
To put on the lighter side, I would also like to say, there are times when children come and tell me, ma'am, why don't you counsel our parents?
Oh yes, yes.
So why don't you do it? I mean,
that's what's happening now.
They tell me that we don't need counseling. Please counsel our parents. Please call them across, and because we are not stressed. They are the ones who are giving us stress.
I know.
So we have the other aspects also. So it's
no, this is a serious statement.
True.
Some parents need the counseling. Because they don't know how to approach when the children will be facing, their own children will face some problems. Because sometimes they may be very serious with their homework, they in between study, the children get bored by hearing the word study right from third year of their life.
This is a question I always hear. It says, have you heard about Bill Gates? I'm talking about students, have you heard about Steve Jobs? They're all dropouts, and so what's the point studying? Even without studying, we can make it big. How do you answer this question? How would you answer this question?
Even that we are facing the problem.
The question, yeah.
Why should I study? Because after 12th I will go for this marketing, and I know how to speak well, so I will go for that. That's a lack of motivation. The level of aspiration, that's because of our teachers and parents are equally responsible for that. If my student, if my child is not being less motivated, lack of motivation, that's the reason. I am responsible for that one. When our parents are thinking my son and my daughter will become IAS officer or doctors or engineers, they are thinking only when they reach in 12th standard. But our parents are not thinking about that. The parents must think when the child is in KG1 or KG2, then we must give the training according to the child's aptitude. That part our parents are not at all doing anything accordingly.
So this is very relevant. Even on open house day, we know that most parents don't turn up, So what do you think, what would you want to advise them in terms of communicating with teachers? Would you want them to speak to them probably on a weekly basis? What do you think is the ideal way?
And I think I would just like to add on to that, it's usually parents whose children have not performed well. Those who do not appear, because they have this fear that they know that they're going to be, they don't want, see, that's exactly what I said. If I do not want to face situations and tackle it and handle it, then how can I tell my next generation how to do it? If it is a failure in a subject, the thing is that you face it, you find out, you probe into it, you accept it, and then you move on by making changes. But if a parent himself or herself, herself doesn't want to face it, how are we teaching our children? What are we teaching our children? That if it's failure, it's okay, I'm not going to go to your school and face it.
True.
So
Exactly.
then this is what is very important. I mean, it's only school. I mean, life, the entire life is left. I keep telling my children, what are you going to do later on in life? I get a child who has 80% and she's crying profusely in my office. Why? Ma'am, I can't face my mother because she
That's
expects
the
a
problem.
90.
True. Ma'am, I'm just wondering, that kid who committed suicide, I'm sure a lot of similar situations exist, maybe in our own homes.
Yeah.
What is it that we did to tell him that his physics and chemistry marks are more important than his life itself?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. And even I mean, we have these cases because of this, because we do not know where to put the, like I said again, I may be repeating myself, but it's just that, as parents, if we ourselves don't know to accept, do we forget our childhood? At times I think we forget our childhood in our, role model of being parents. We try to, kind of act like God. Try to make decisions, try to do everything, and forget that even we were our children, because there are a lot of parents who've been asked by me in my office that, how were you as a child? How did you do? Did you play? And these questions really perplex them, because it's uncomfortable for them, because then again you're changing your role.
I was reading a cartoon where a child comes to dad and says, "Dad, this is my report card, and this is your report card."
Exactly.
So I think we need to be realistic.
Exactly.
Let me come back to this question that I asked you, sir. Your school does. I know that you do extra classes during exam time. I know that. I think this is something that we should all stand up and applaud. We know Mr. S.J. Jacob himself, goes and visits students during exam times, goes into their houses, talks to them. So, can you suggest some best practices from your experience that schools can do to really help these weak students?
No, weak students have been decided, especially they need the teachers' help from Jan to March. This is a crucial time. All the schools will start the revision.
True.
Very sorry to say that most of the schools, what they will do, from Jan to March, study leave.
Exactly.
Study leave.
True.
Then there is the response of the parents to run up and down to get some coaching, extra coaching. Instead, what we do, the real revision will start from Jan. My children must be with my teachers. Then the one-to-one attention will be given, and we will study what is the problem of that particular child. Because we used to collect from September to December the problem, and we segregate, and the children will be there. So I can't visit all the homes, but I will give the list. The final list will be there, maybe 10 to 15 children. So that's one visit gives the motivation will be there. That positive energy will be last for 3 months. That's enough, because I used to visit the month of Jan or Feb. That's enough. So when the students with the teachers, the two things will be there. If they get some doubt, they can clear it then and there, because otherwise they have to refer and find out. When the teachers are there with the students, they can immediately say, oh, you can go this way, and they will get the answer, immediate answer. They can save time, and they will get the more confidence. My ma'am is there with me, my sir is with me. So that is the thing we are practicing.
I think we would love to continue this conversation on and on and on, because it's something very relevant, something very meaningful, and something that touches all of us. But of course, the clock plays spoil sport at times, and well, of course, this whole platform is there to support you parents and students. We'll continuously have similar programs in the near future, where we'll make sure that we bring together the best expertise and talent to advise you. So before we wind up today, first of all, let me thank our eminent guests who joined us on air before our first break, and our eminent panel who's here with us. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot for joining us, and thank you, sir.
Thank you.
As again, it's an honor. It's an honor to have you with us in the studio. Dear parents, I think if I may summarize what our guest said, a lot of responsibility falls on you. Be in touch with your children on a day-to-day basis. Understand the motivations. Understand the fears. The first signs of stress, be there to recognize it before it's too late. And make sure that you proactively act on these situations. Because yes, 100% is important. scoring A plus is important, but much more important is the happiness and the well-being of our own dear children, because we're not just looking at that one exam, we're looking at them growing up to be amazing individuals,
Yes.
to make us all proud, to make our country proud in the future. And as sir said and ma'am said, teachers do have umpteen number of responsibilities as well. Train themselves, open up your hearts, and realize that you have many more things to do to make sure that our students do well. So it's time for me, Sangeet Ibrahim, to say bye. We will come back. I'll be again with you on the 1st of November. That is not the next Saturday, but the Saturday after that. We'll have an amazing panel again with us, and we're going to discuss the topic, how can we improve the interpersonal skills of our children, because social skills is equally important. You have to be competent here, and you have to be competent here as well, super competent here. So looking forward to meeting you all again, and let's keep the conversation going. Wishing you all the very best, and together let's make sure that our children scale great heights. Signing off from MTV with the amazing NTV team here. Thank you.
Thank you.